I was looking through some older stitching books this week, and I saw a different method for doing the Armenian edging stitch from what I had done on the previous video. And then when I was packaging up the cards for Stitching Society this month, I found that the card had changed and had switched to this method. So this is another way to do the Armenian edging stitch. With this method, we're working from left to right. I'm going to bring my thread out on the edge of the hem, and it is usually worked along an edge. You can use it to stitch down the hem, or you can stitch it on after the hem has been sewn in. In this case, I sewed it in by machine. So I'm bringing my needle out on the edge of the hem. And then you can determine how closely together you want them spaced. I'm going to come up from the back side of my hem down for my next stitch. Bring my needle from the back to the front. Don't pull all the way through. So I have this loop of thread hanging off the edge. I'm going to twist it, and I'm going to twist it so that the thread coming out of the fabric from the very beginning is on top, and then make a loop. So let's put it down here. So that's what it looks like. That's thread coming from the top, and it's looping around and coming up underneath. So then it's kind of like weaving. I'm going over the top of the thread that's coming out of the fabric, and then bringing my needle in from the bottom side of the loop. And before I pull it all the way up, I can decide how tight I want my thread going from here to here. So I want to adjust that before I pull my knot tight. So that can be a kind of a scalloped piece coming off, or it could be up tight against the fabric. So now I just continue doing that step over and over again. I'm going to go down to the right, not down, I'm coming up from the back, but I'm moving to the right, coming up from the back of the fabric to the front, leave a loop of thread hanging off between my stitches. I'm going to twist it. Again, my twist is coming with the thread coming from my last knot is twisting on top and then making a loop, and then I'm bringing my needle over that thread that's coming out of the last knot, under the thread in the loop, and up through the loop. So I'm coming into the loop from the back side. I'll just stitch this, pull it up flat, maybe you can see it better. So I would have adjusted this portion in here before I pull my knot up, and then I'm going to pull it up. So then I move down again to the right. Don't pull all the way up. I'm going to loop it with the thread from the previous knot coming across the top of the loop. And then I'm going to take my needle over that thread that's coming from the previous knot, and I'm going to then take my tip of my needle under the next part and bring the needle up through the loop. So from the bottom up. I'll put this piece of paper here so things would show better. I'm not sure whether it's helping or hindering. So I adjust here before I pull that knot tight, and then I pull it up. And I usually, when I'm pulling it up, I'm holding on to it. So let's see if I can do it for the camera more the way I would. I don't lay it down flat on a flat surface. So I want to flip it. And your thread probably will start trying to twist the other way. I'm going over the thread that's coming from the previous knot, bringing my needle up under the thread to come through the loop from bottom to top. Adjust here if you need to before you pull the knot up. And I think I get much nicer results with this method than I did with the other one. So over the thread coming from the knot, twisting up under the thread after that, and coming up through the loop from the bottom. And then pull it tight. And your thread will twist, so drop your needle and let it untwist. And we're just going to keep doing this until you are finished with your hem. So up from the back side of the hem, going to leave some thread hanging, and we want to loop it so that the thread coming from the previous knot is on top of the loop. It's the top part of the loop. We're going to go over that and then under. So if I just came through here, it causes a problem. Maybe. Yeah, I basically just get a blanket stitch going that way. So I make my loop. And right now it's wanting to twist the opposite way, and it doesn't work well that way. It doesn't work. So over and under and pull up. When I get to the end, then I would just take my thread to the back and knot it off. I could sink it in. That might be better, into the fold in the hem. So this way. Then take it to the back and knot off. That gives me a smoother finish.